Hey guys, this is Bonfrey from L World, and this is FOE Advanced. Thanks for watching. So I am doing this video as a follow-on to kind of a what happened next after the video that I just posted today about which GBs I was considering deleting and why. So I went ahead and spent a few hours yesterday just totally redoing my city, and I am pretty happy with the results so far, and I wanted to uh, spit out some numbers just on the stats and uh, talk about which GBs that I decided to delete more than I had actually initially planned, because as I really started crunching numbers and looking into things and looking at the efficiency of space, I realized that I was definitely on the right track for what I wanted to accomplish, which is to keep my Forge Point collections as good or better than they were my goods collections for relevant eras, which in my case is SAT. I kind of don't care about much else, intact or to grow that number, and then to either maintain or increase my attack numbers. So I've got some good results on that so far, and this is really just where I ended up after that first attempt of a few hours of completely redoing my city. So the reason I've left some blank spaces for the time being, and there are quite a number of blank spaces, I think around 320 or something like that if I look at the map, but using the FOE helper plugin on my browser. But anyway, the stats aren't going to help. That's not going to do us any good. But I've been using the production overview capability just to measure, where I was before and where I am now. So as a result of deleting, a good number of GBs, I deleted 6 GBs yesterday, and I'm happy to say that I don't seem to be the worst for it, and I have a lot of flexibility now, real estate wise, because what's happening is my city keeps popping out cider gardens, which are phenomenal because they don't need roads, and they give me they create units, FP, okay, great, but just the attack numbers on this little building is quite good, and there's no negative population. In the case of the Jumping Pumpkin, yes, it's a production building. No negative. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. There, it doesn't show it on here. I ran into this recently, but there are some population implications. There's some inconsistencies here, and you guys may have noticed this because some buildings they'll say they'll show the impact on population when you float, like permanent effect, on Vibrant on a Vineyard is 18,000, population. But if I go over here, it shows a negative impact on happiness, which I kind of don't care about right now, and I'm going to do another video about that and explain why I don't care about it. I had to do some research just to make sure my assumptions were correct, but it sounds like they were about not really being that concerned about happiness, actually. But anyway, if I go into inventory and I look up, well, I think I put out all my cider gardens. Okay, so here, this is where it would tell me for sure if I was going to have an impact. So it doesn't look like there's anything there. In the case of the Jumping Pumpkin, I still have 13 in inventory, which I just haven't taken the time to do it. So look at this. It costs 20,000 population to deploy this thing. Negative 24K in happiness, but the 20K population is a concern. Now this little building kicks butt on the attack side, but it's incrementally better than the cider garden. But in the last video I talked about GBs and I talked about Jumping Pumpkins. I kind of failed to mention cider gardens, and also there's feta farms. I went on the cider garden path just based on the buildings I built. So I'm not making feta farms, but I'm making cider gardens. Um, a really odd side note about cider gardens is currently, at least, when you build a cider garden, it qualifies as building a residential building in a quest. It's the weirdest thing. Somebody mentioned it in our guild, and I was like, no way. And also the Granny's apple tree. I guess Granny lives in the apple tree. I don't really know, but it also counts as a residential building. But all this to say, it's really important when you're looking at what your strategy is going to be, your pathway. Say, okay, great. I'm gonna put down a bunch more jumping pumpkins, which tax stat wise is great. The problem is with that is I need to keep an eye on my population, which isn't that high right now. It's higher than when I started, when I had 6 GBs. That I actually had less available population with the 6 GBs I had that I deleted versus now. So I've improved it. I don't know if I said that right. Anyway, I have more population now than after deletion. So that's fine. I just need to now balance the more of the pumpkins I put down. I'd have to balance it with buildings that give me population. The good news is I'm going to be building autumn vineyards nonstop. And it's a very highly rated building efficiency wise. So I don't have any guilt about making more of these, and they add 18,000 population for each one I throw down. So there's that, and then of course there's other buildings. So anyway, some odd things there, but some things to look for. So what I ended up deleting, because in the last video I was saying I'm going to delete these things, but I was kind of pontificating about which ones I was going to do. I have deleted, as I said, 6 buildings so far, and I've got a few more on my near-term deletion list. So I deleted the GT, the Galata Tower. Don't really have any concerns about the plundering thing, and even if someone plunders me, I don't really care because it's a function of the game. I mean, it's a game, and if somebody wants to take the time to plunder me, I feel like, okay, I can, if I'm really concerned about it, I can be really anal about my collections, but not very many buildings that I have are plunderable anyway. I mean, I'm not running a bunch of terrace farms and things like that. I mean, yeah, you can plunder a sleigh builder and a few other things I have in the city, but like I don't care. And I'm like, if you're gonna do the work, Mr. or Miss Player, and attack me and take time to plunder my city, like you can have it. You're putting in the work. So anyway, killed the Galata Tower again. It was making previous age goods. The CoA was the main one that I started. That was the tip of the iceberg for this thing because I wanted to replace the attack stats for that, and obviously the CoA had very basic attack stats versus like, okay, I can put down a few of these and outpace those stats. And as a preview, which I'll address later, the TA is on my hit list. That thing's going away real soon. Might go away tonight. I don't know. The SMB is gone and should be, somewhat obvious. I should have deleted it a long time ago, but that's out of here. Tower Babel's out. Deleted that. Deleted my space carrier because I rarely take time to negotiate anything unless I have to, and that's just way too much space to tie up for a chance award that the SC might pop out. I mean, it did its job for me when I was going through the AO and OF, the horrifically never-ending research tree of OF and flipping it and such. So that's that. SC's gone. LoA is gone. So the Lighthouse of Alexandria, again, produced, previous era goods, and it gives a buff on percentage of supplies, collected, but I'm not worried about that right now. I mean, I used to be, but at this point, I don't have to worry about it. So that made a bunch of space, and in addition to deleting those buildings and getting that room back, I of course was able to add more buildings in that I had from inventory. So I think that was another consideration for me, was that I'm not just deleting GBs to just make space for I don't know what later. It's a specific strategy because I'm literally sitting on so much capacity for battling buffs and other benefits, goods or metals or whatever population that it's just a given. I could fill this city twice over, with what I have in inventory from where it's at now, and because I haven't been able to buy any diamonds at a discount. Um, and shame on me, I actually paid retail non-discount for diamonds during the Halloween event because I kind of went bananas on that, and I'm happy I did because I got some really game-changing long-term benefits from it. But it was a spend that I'm still kind of butthurt about because I didn't get any discounts. So now I'm down to 3 diamonds, and there's probably no plan in sight from the algorithms to offer me a discount since I recently bought at retail and spent everything. So I'm the perfect sucker for Inno's monetization plans. But anyway, aside from that, um, I was able to delete about 78 road sections from my old city, and then I was able to add in other buildings to buff those fighting stats that I lost with deleting the CoA. But that was really it. The next one to delete, I believe, is the TA. I just did some quick math, and it's kind of a no-brainer. I don't like how expensive this building is. If I were a player right now did not have a TA, I would not build. I would not recommend building it. I mean, at least I wouldn't myself. I also would not build a cape. I kind of crapped on the cape on my last video. It really isn't the worst GB in the game. It's arguably very good on percentage of the space, the ROI on real estate versus okay, I can pop this for 70 FP, but I'm there now. And when you look at the fact that every time you level this building, you get one more FP every time it levels, well, that's essentially a 365 day break even, just getting it leveled up, right? And that's if you get it to a certain point, it gets to that ratio. So yes, it's good if you have it, but I recommend to players that don't, I would steer clear of it, but that's just my opinion. I mean, it is a cool building. I like the visuals on it, but I'm I'm not there yet. I'm definitely there on the TA because with the space this takes up, I can put down like 4 of these cider gardens, which I'm continuing to make over time, and they don't have any negative impacts on my city, and they don't need roads. So, 4 of these would pretty much uh, supplement the 50% of the blue and red attack, plus they have, they've got the defense for attacking the red shield. So kind of a no-brainer on that. Again, and then no road needed. So that just helps me be a little bit more efficient. Okay, so the reason I'm leaving room is because, every few days my city is creating, these event related buildings. So it's popping out fragments of cider gardens and jumping pumpkins and the granny's trees. And I hate the fact that these need a road, but when I redesigned the city, I was like, wait a minute, I can just leave kind of one section here, one by ones at the edge of these roads and kind of plan that in. And then, over here by moving my town hall into the kind of the central area, I was able to just put really tight, small little road segments to all these adjacent buildings. So that saved a lot. I am by no means, I am a garbage city designer. Like, it's not a skill that I have in the game. Like, I looked at my road efficiency, and this is the best I've ever been. I think I'm at about 90% road efficiency. And I know a friend of mine in the game, he's all about it. He runs spreadsheets. He spends way more time on it than I do in terms of city efficiency, which, hey, great. I mean, that's what this game is all about in one of its key aspects. But I think he was able to get to 95%, which is pretty ridiculous. I mean, you got to squeeze, sap out of a wooden nickel to get to that point. And for me, just kind of shooting from the hip and doing a 2.5 hour rebuild, I'm happy enough with what I got right now. I've got plenty of room. I've got the HC, which is the other building that's on my hit list. I do get a lot of awards from the HC, which is cool. I mean, I think there's sort of that one aspect of this game that gives you some dopamine, if you will, for like, hey, I won a prize, like, yeah, I won something. And I think it does give you some satisfaction depending on what you're looking for from the game as a player. And I will say the HC delivers. I mean, and I battle a lot versus like negotiating a lot. So even though the space carrier and the HC are, I think they're similarly ranked. I'm not getting into the deep percentages, but I just didn't use, I battle all the time, right? Versus negotiate. So I always see them. I always expend the Himeji like immediately after I collect, so I get whatever opportunities I get. So I'm gonna leave it until I need the space, and then when I need to reclaim the space, it's going bye bye. I'm a little bit on the bubble about the AI core, but because I'm a guild minded person, and I need to be because we're looking, top 5 guilds are usually looking for a very sizable, substantial guild treasury donation ratio. So I'm going to keep the AI because of that. I mean, by far the most efficient version of that in the game is the OBS, and I would never delete my OBS, but I don't even know where it is right now because I just rebuilt it. Here we go. But as a result of this rebuild, I was able to add some other things that are giving me some other benefits. So the numbers, you're not going too crazy here. I'm not a big stats driven YouTuber, but here's where I started yesterday on my FP generation, my daily FP. Now this improves dramatically when I, trigger my blue galaxy. So I generally collect about 2,100 FP a day, depending on how I set up my collections. But this is the core collection. So natively, yesterday I was at 1560. Now I'm at 1624, so that's great. Attack actually went up about 50, so that's great. My defense boost went up a little bit, so that's good. I'm happy with that. And then attack, defense went from 2311 to 2350. So similar, but awesome because I have all this space now, and I didn't have that much space before. I mean, I did because I needed to redo my city, and I would have gotten some efficiencies even just keeping everything the same. But I've got a ton of space now. I have like 350 open, 1x1s at this point, and I haven't even deleted the HC, so that's great. Defense boost for defending army went down about 100, and I don't care at the moment. Like, that's fine. I don't really am not worried about that. And then my goods per day did drop some, but again, that was related to, I know now that of the 4034 I'm collecting every day, that gets buffed as well, especially if I trigger the Himeji, the BG on my ridiculously huge statues of honor. So I don't see a lot of players with this thing going on, but I like to have a lot of goods. So I'm generating about 4,000 to 5,000 sat goods a day, somewhere in that range. I can look at the stats, but let's call it 4,500. And part of that is because, I'm producing a ton of those goods from these road to victories. And when it doubles when I hit the BG, it's pretty good. And of course, that's why I have all the sleigh builders. I know I've seen some comments about the sleigh builders and them being redundant as production buildings with the jumping pumpkins, but there's a huge difference, and that is that I only run my sleigh builders for making 15 goods a day. So when you have enough of them like this, it adds up, and I make 15 SAT goods a day per sleigh builder. So that's what's going on there. And that's just something I've done in every era since I started the game and this building came out. I've just collected them, and it's just kind of my thing. And I just love it because, it's a pretty efficient building considering what it does. So anyway, that's that. And in terms of remaining great buildings, I'm going to keep the TOR because I do play through GE5 every week. And I mean, just playing GE5 is, I didn't realize for a while how incredibly powerful the benefit of that is. So when you play GE5, you get a chance to, well, a chance. I mean, you collect fragments of the Forgotten Temple. I mean, this thing is ridiculous. Like it buffs, it buffs your attack. I mean, but the main thing is it gives you a 20% boost on your forge point collections of your entire city. I mean, that's insane. Like, so you only get this on GE5. You only get these fragments, and so I play through GE5 all the time because the benefits of the Forgotten Temple. I mean, I'm not doing a video about that right now, so just do a wiki on it if you're not familiar with this building, or you're not sure what I'm talking about, or what your benefits would be. Go look it up because it's insane. The 20% FP boost is amazing. So that's why I'm going to keep the TOR, because I'm already doing the work. There's no reason to not get 1-up kits and other things that I get from the TOR. Like, I'm just going to stick with that. Many of my guildmates are deleting their TORs, and they just don't, they're just so battle mindset, and that's fine. I mean, if you say you're camping in a low era and you've got a captured, you've got captured hover or something like that, and you're able to fight into 250 attrition on GBG because you've played the game a certain way from day one, then you're very land constrained, right? I mean, you don't have the benefit of all the additional land tiles that you get with higher eras and going through the tech tree. So I can see why some of the elite fighters that get 10,000 fights per GBG session, they're going to delete their TOR because like you're going to get so many rewards from GBG battling at that level that you're like, yeah, whatever. So anyway, I think it all depends on where you're sitting and so forth. For me, the jury's still out on the SAT GBs. I mean, they're ridiculously expensive and to level up, and I mean, they are efficient. I mean, they're certainly better than the TA. I mean, the TA is just old and outdated in my opinion at this point in terms of the stats to size ratio. But the Saturn buildings are good. They're just costly, and I think Uber Nerd posted recently about his GB ratings, and he kind of put these in the remains to be seen. Let's see how this goes. Perhaps NO is going to be, has a roadmap, if you will, of how these buildings may become more valuable. But right now, I'm just trying to get my arc to 180, and that's sucking up everything because it's, ridiculously expensive to do that. I'm getting there. I'm at 163, so I'm on my way. But yeah, so anyway, definitely on the chopping block are those that I've discussed, and my top buildings are obviously the ARC and the AO. AO is indispensable, and I just keep leveling it up. I'm at 122. Very expensive to level up at that range, but it just keeps delivering. I mean, it's great. The Kraken is on my punch list too. I don't know. I'm not that excited about it anymore. So I don't know. I'd like your thoughts. You know, if anybody got this far in the video, I'd like your thoughts on the Kraken. I'm kind of on the bubble. I think situationally it can be a help, but I don't like GBs that run out of chances, right? Unless they really deliver in some amazing way. I think the Kraken was there for me, especially when I was in OF and I was fighting up through VF into SAM with OF troops, you know, through the maps. Just that little extra boost was amazing from the Kraken. I mean, it was critical for me to not have to spend diamonds to, you know, replace captured units and things like that. But at this point where I'm at in the game, I think it's obsolete. So I think it's going to go away. NO's probably on my next. That's probably going to go away too. It does give me population. That's what stopped me actually yesterday as being the 7th GB I was going to delete, was because it gives me 42,000 population. And yeah, it's giving me some FP too, you know, not a ton, 45, but I was like, damn, you know, I'm going to hold on to that just for now. I have the space, but that's, you know, that's on there. So, and then, oh, by the way, if you haven't, I don't know if you've heard, if there's any of you that are in, you know, top guilds. I mean, if you're in a top 1 or 2 guild in your world, you have a chance to get Tower of Champions. When I say top 1 or 2, I don't mean just like all the time, but when you win. So I mean like when you win a season. Okay, so when you win it, when you rank first or second in a season, you get fragments for the Tower of Champions. So the guild I'm in, we just happened to win through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. We won the first 2 seasons in a row where they were offering this Tower of Champions. And so I have a level 2, plus I have the other, I mean, maybe it was 3. I don't know. I'm forgetting. But in the last couple of months. And then there's more, you know, I have more shards. So anyway, it's an incredibly powerful building. I mean, you know, it gives the guild 400 goods. I get 40 FP, and then I get some boosts. So anyway, it's pretty rad. And if you're considering, hey, maybe I'll do more battles, or maybe you want to, you know, really increase your battle game, try to get into some guilds that are serious about Platinum League, and then being able to contend to be in the top 2 spots because you get fragments for this building. So for those seasons. So anyway, that's that. And yeah, I think I'm gonna cut it here. And I appreciate you guys listening, watching, comment. Let me know what you think. I'm a lot happier with where I'm at with this city now. I've got a lot of room to add. You know, the Autumn Vineyards and these other freaky little buildings, and you know, even inefficient things like Gov Villas. I mean, I could easily store these. I mean, but they give me population, and they give me 36% in tax. I'm like, all right, I can be a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit sloppy with things right now. Even the abandoned asylums. I mean, these are big buildings, and they're not the highest efficiency, but you know, I got space right now, and I'm planning ahead for what's going to be happening here, and then I'll throw some other stuff in from inventory on my, you know, in the next week or so. I'll find things and figure out what selection kits I have and fragments and things like that, and throw some more things down because, you know, I've got enough store buildings to put that stuff back in storage later. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.